Good day to you. Willard Shepard Law and Media on the Miami Community News Network here on In the Know. And today we are on site at the Florida Bar Convention up in Orlando. And I am very delighted to have with me Counselor April Martindale from Broward County, Florida. Thank you so much for being with us, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and your specialty in the law is something that I want you to educate the general public out there to keep them out of trouble when it comes to things that we see online and photographs and images and social media, which so much so has really taken over our world and people on their phones so much. But most of the time, someone actually owns those things.
Correct.
So first of all, walk us through that process. And then take us to give us some advice so no one gets in any trouble.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think it's important to understand what intellectual property kind of encompasses. And it encompasses patents, trademarks, trade dress, trade secrets, copyrights. And a lot of times they're owned by other people. And if you decide to take it without their permission, it's called infringement, and they can sue you, especially if they have their trademark or copyright or patent registered. They can sue you for millions of dollars per infringement. So it's a lot with each of these little categories, but I can explain in further detail to the audience.
In the bigger picture, I just think we've kind of gotten in a society as more and more people have come up with a generation of using their smartphones and pictures and images and things that they think are just there, that nobody has the rights to that, and people actually do. It's just not something that I think the general public considers that what we're doing, just because it's kind of become, I hate to say, the norm.
It is the norm. And I think with the computer and the internet, it's hard to find out what is actually belonging or owned as trademark, really copyrights. Copyrights, that's really hard. I have a bunch of clients that have gotten letters from a couple of firms regarding copyright infringement because they're taking pictures off the internet that look like they're safe and there's no copyright symbol to it, but they're getting sued or getting demand letters saying, hey, you infringed, I want you to pay $12.50 for this picture. And it could be just a regular generic picture, but they're getting sued. So it's really hard to track and trace at this time. In 2024, it's hard because there's so much stuff out there. And you think, I can take this, you know, I'm not infringing on anybody's stuff. This is not owned by anybody. This, you know, we can all use this, you know, but no, it can come back to bite you.
1,000%, and I'll say, you know, we share that in our area of the law and my portion of it in the media area, where so many people that I know or believe should know better think that you can just use something because someone else has done it or it's before. But so now go over the duty of actually trying your best to locate the actual owner of whatever this picture, photo, writing, whatever that might be, obtaining permission for it to use it.
So it's a lot of digging. So you have to do a search and really look hard on the computer. Not just a Google search, you have to kind of go in a little bit more and see what there is. See if its picture has been coming up on different websites, if it's something that's common where everybody else can have the rights to use it, or if it's something that needs to be licensed. Whereas, of course, with the license, we need to acquire permission from the owner of that copyright. I see there's a lot of images from AP, sites like AP, Getty Images, and these are a lot of the actions for copyright infringement that have been coming to my table, you know, where I have to defend the clients on it because they don't know, you know, and it looks like there's some of these firms that go after the small person who's just trying to have their little website, not really making any money, non-profits, you know, but no, it's a hell of a search you have to go through at this point to kind of to check and clear to see if it's okay.
And talk about these rules applying and how they're instituted into social media as well.
Well, that's changing, you know, the law is changing all the time, especially with AI now. It's become very difficult. So I know there's some legislation on the forefront that's going to hopefully kind of clear up the air because people don't know. It's kind of too early with all the changes in tech to really track and trace what you're doing. You know, so we're still in the forefront of understanding what that's going to look like, but we're waiting on some laws just came from one of the sessions, the intellectual property sessions, and they're working on it. Like it's emerging, but we're just kind of waiting to hear back what the changes are going to be and how the protections are going to actually be instituted.
But when it comes to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, these platforms, the basic rules apply in the sense of Miss Martindale's photos are Miss Martindale's photos.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Can you emphasize that? Because I think there are many people, oh, well, it wasn't a website. It was, some type of Instagram page.
Well, I can. Now, since you put it in my plate, Miss Martindale's pictures are her pictures. And if somebody decides to utilize them, we're going to have an issue. But again, if it's used for like educational purposes and so on and so forth, it's a little different. So there's certain uses that can be, applied. But if they go and try to use my stuff, they can just call me, reach out, and ask me if they can use it. I probably might say yes, depending on what they're doing. But again, you have to just find the owner.
Right.
You have to find the owner. That's really, really important. But if it's for common purposes, Creative Commons license kind of thing, then you should be fine. Otherwise...
You touched on it very briefly, but as the general public, we want them to know, because some people may think, oh, it's fair use. You talked a little bit about that, but go over why the fair use doctrine and the way that it's set up, and the test for that, going through, hey, did a person use that image and end up making
money off of it,
massive amount of money on it, or those types of things? How much of the work was taken? Just go through that part so an individual that sees us today doesn't think that well, I have some type of defense. Right.
Well, if you're using somebody else's stuff, whether it's trademark, copyright, or otherwise, to make money off of it, then you're in a bad place. Like, you shouldn't do that. Even when it comes to copyrights, even if you're not using it to make money, for example, client is not making money, nonprofit, they just are showing what's going on. They still can be sued, even if it's not for money. But that's one of the things, that's one of the goals. They don't want you to be making money off of somebody else's stuff that they own, and they have a legitimate right to use. They have to tell you, hey, you can do this or do that, so I hope that answers some of the questions.
No, we were there. The big picture is, I just wanted to make people, because they hear about fair use, and you talked about one of the prongs of fair use, is that they don't think that I can say, oh, well, that was fair use, that I was doing that under things. You mentioned the educational area that it can be used in. Only a very small amount of the item, whatever that is, only a handful of seconds of video or an image can be used. And always the best rule is to track down whomever it is owns it. Ask them for permission. If there's payment and licensing involved, it will keep you out of a lot of trouble.
Yes, it will.
1,000%.
Yes.
That is the part of the educational aspect about this, but I think probably far more important is the motivational part about this. And I want people to know, and people who see you to know, that if you have a dream, you can make it come true. So tell me about your life story and how you were able to go to law school when you did, with the responsibilities that you did, and juggle all of those responsibilities and get to where you are today to talk about intellectual property.
You got time for all that?
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna be here a long time.
Okay, well, I know that, but really, that speaks volumes about being able to have a dream. I always say you can have a dream, but then once you must have that dream, you've got to educate yourself, train yourself, and prepare for any situation.
Yes.
Make a plan, implement it, and then execute it.
Absolutely. Okay, so it's going to be a long story. I apologize to the viewers. Anyhow, so my story is quite long. I went to law school because I was a paralegal for 10 years, and I was making a lot of attorneys rich, and I was making pennies. So, I decided that was not good enough. So I applied to go into law school. I went to law school. I was married at the time, 3 kids, and got divorced in law school, which was a wonderful thing, but got through. I actually did law school from 2010 to 2011.
Yeah, that's what I really wanted you to focus on, is about how you were able to do that, and now part of your mission is helping other women or men who are single parents achieve their dreams and their goals.
Gotcha. All right. So 2010, 2011 law school, did not make it, did not make the GPA. So I was academically dismissed. I registered to go and get my master's degree, which I did, and I got it done in 11 months. And I graduated with 3.917 GPA, so I was excited. I had scholarships and such. Then I reapplied to go to law school. I had to take all the same classes that I took for the first year. I didn't fail anything, but I had to take those classes, pay for those classes once again. And I'm seeing my peers graduate, and I'm just kind of restarting. So I came back part-time, and I ended up being the valedictorian from the same school that told me I wasn't good enough to be there, right? And within that time, once I graduated, I sat for the bar exam. And first time I sat, I was like, I got this. I was doing everything, single parenting at the time, and I was taking my kids with me to study at the school. And I was studying about 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I just knew I passed. I didn't. I failed by 1.5 points. I was devastated because you don't know what your score is going to look like until maybe 2 months after the test. So I didn't think that I needed to continue to study because I thought I was fine. Second time around, I was like, nope. I must have retained some of this information. I did not. So I did horribly the second time around. But third time around, I did it a little bit differently. And I passed by flying colors. However, with the, thank you so much. But with the Florida bar exam, there's 2 portions. And I came into law school as a non-traditional student. And I had to wait for my character and fitness to be cleared. That took 2 years. I had to put on a trial in front of the Florida bar examiners to prove why I deserved to be an attorney and be an advocate for others. And after that time, so I passed February 2017. I got cleared November 2017. And my professor, who is judge, he swore me in. So that was November 10th of 2017. I got sworn in as I was about to say judge. I'm just speaking in existence now, as an attorney, and it was one of the most bittersweet days ever. So that's part of it. And then I opened up my firm. So after being cleared by the bar, I had some offers at the table before I took the bar exam. And I was like, I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna be wealthy, I'll be able to pay off these student loans, everything's gonna be fine. Applying for jobs, they're offering me paralegal position type positions, and I said absolutely not. So in law school, I opened up Martindale Legal Services LLC as an independent contracting paralegal. That was 2013. So after I wasn't getting any offers that I believed that I deserved because I've worked so hard, I said, you know what, I'm going to change Martindale Legal Services LLC to Martindale Law. And I opened up my own shingles. And I have a big, beautiful office, executive suite in Sunrise, Florida, by the grace of God, because again, I'm single parenting. Clients don't pay like they should, right? But I did it, and anybody can do it. If I did it with all the different obstacles that I had to meet and kind of face these fears, but I was determined and I was not going to give up, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Nobody can tell me otherwise.
1,000% admired. I tell people, United States government, give me a jet loaded with bombs that I can wipe out a city block with less testing, not flying, but actual academic testing than the Florida bar exam. So there we have it. Ms. Martindale, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having
We're very
me.
proud of you. I wanted people to know about your story.
I appreciate it.
And now, with your nonprofits and you're trying to help other single parents and these types of things in our community. And make sure that when somebody has a picture or a photo or a video, you can't just go take it and use it. You can't do that. Thanks for being with us from the Florida Bar Convention in Orlando on In the Know.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.